Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. Now, with December 16th quickly approaching, which is of course the big holiday live stream, of course there's going to be some associated sale along with that, which will probably end up pushing us over 100 million in crowdfunding. And there's also going to be the sale of the Star Citizen Hotas. Now, the Star Citizen Hotas is more or less kind of one of these things that I've been keeping an eye on it and keeping an eye on it, and basically December 16th is going to be a big day for me because it's going to be the day that I more or less finally make my decision in regards to control inputs. Because if when the Star Citizen HOTAS comes out, hopefully that trackball on the thumb rest on the joystick, and I believe there's also a trackball on the throttle. If those trackballs are still there, I am going to be passing on the Star Citizen HOTAS. Now, I am hopeful that it is not going to be there, but I am more or less, that is kind of like the make or break line for me. And what I thought I would do is I would make a video to kind of discuss, this, my impressions, my point of view on the matter, and why I'm basically kind of already, as the date quickly approaches, my enthusiasm is quickly dwindling for this product. And I kind of wanted to, kind of make a video about it and, kind of put that out there just so, because, I've got quite a few people have subscribed to this channel, and whenever I kind of create videos, I always kind of share my opinions and my impressions of things. And I feel that it's also very truthful to share, opinions where I say, I'm not sure that this is going to work. And so I figured I would kind of do that with the Star Citizen HOTAS, just because, I feel it's best to kind of float a bunch of opinions and kind of go out and scour the internet. And I really have been scouring the internet looking for a proper HOTAS or a Star Citizen, control setup. And so I figured I would make a video kind of detailing those experiences and why I have kind of come to this conclusion about the Star Citizen HOTAS. Now, I may be wrong. I have been wrong before, but I've also been right before. And so I would, I'm going to just kind of say, take my opinion with a grain of salt. The only person who can decide how to spend your money is you. But this is my point of view on the Star Citizen HOTAS, at least the low-end one that we have seen. First off, the trackball. The trackball is the one major thing that sticks out to me that says, avoid this product. And the reason is, when you're, like, the main problem with Star Citizen and the disparity in controls is that when you're using a flight stick and then you're trying to control gimbaled weapons with a trackball on a joystick, you're managing two control interfaces at the same time. And with a trackball, I mean, for those of you who have used trackballs, the larger the trackball, the more accurate the trackball is, the easier it is to be accurate with that trackball. The smaller the trackball is, the harder it is to manage, because the smallest motions can result in kind of like the biggest changes on that trackball. Now, of course, you can adjust the sensitivity greatly, but at the same time, or hopefully you can adjust the sensitivity, but at the same time, you're now managing two inputs at the same time to direct your weapons. And once you're doing that with your thumb, when you've got your thumb on that trackball, then all those top switches on your joystick, launch missiles, the HUD switches, whatever, all those switches are officially non-functional once your thumb is on that trackball. You've lost access to all that because your thumb is too busy maintaining and, targeting your weapons. Kind of aiming for your enemies. So you've now, like, whatever you have on the top of that joystick is officially gone once you start using that trackball to, control your weapons. So that was kind of one of the things that as soon as I saw that, I just went, okay, no. And then, you know, when the Gamescom presentation came up and they said, you know, here it is. Here's the Star Citizen, Hotas, da da da, and then you can see trackballs for controlling your weapons. And I just, I kind of went, wait, what? Because I know that there had been a discussion. I believe it was Saitek Rhino had said, well, we're thinking about allowing you to use the hat switch on your joystick to, kind of target your guns with. We're experimenting with those ideas, and that was kind of when I really started to question what CIG was doing in terms of control parity between, mouse and joystick. Now, I'm not advocating either, or actually I kind of will be advocating one over the other at this point. But what I wanted to do was, kind of lay out how I came to these conclusions by going over some of the more popular Hotases, and as I was doing my research and trying to figure out what to buy, the same things that just kept coming up, and hopefully some of this will resonate with you guys, and it'll kind of get you thinking, and kind of wondering if maybe this isn't kind of a sign of a bad decision to purchase the Star Citizen Hotas. Now, I'm a huge booster of Star Citizen. I am dead on excited for this game, and I mean, obviously, once my hangar is fully populated and realized, I think the extent of my excitement for Star Citizen is going to be very apparent. But obviously, like in this instance, for this one thing, I am very unenthusiastic. So now, one of the first Hotases I looked at was this Hotas here, which is the Thrustmaster Warthog. Now, the Thrustmaster Warthog has rave reviews on the internet. Rave reviews. Absolutely just stellar reviews. People love this thing. And then there's people who play Star Citizen who've reviewed it and said, it's the greatest thing in the world. They love it. They absolutely love it. It's accurate, it's reliable, it's dependable, it's solid, it's made of metal. It's very expensive. I mean, here in Canada, I believe you can pick it up for about $545. But there's one problem with that, in that it does not have a twist function on it. So, to a lot of people, it's like, so what? No big deal. You just get a set of pedals, right? So you get a set of pedals, let's say, boom, $89, $100, whatever. You got yourself a good set of pedals to go along with that. So now, for me, where I'm at, you're looking at about $650, $645, somewhere in and around there, for a joystick that you don't even really know that you're gonna like. For something that, that might be absolutely perfect to some but awkward to others. And I mean, for that amount of money being spent, I need to try before I buy. I need to be able to kind of experiment with it and kind of see all the different kind of control setups with it. I need, like, the way I've been experimenting with my own control setup, I mean, it's evolved over months and months and months, and I really would need to try before I buy for that amount of money. So that kind of put the Thrustmaster Warthog as a possibility, but an unlikely possibility for me. And so I kind of went back and started looking around for different Hotases again. And obviously the next one that came up was the X55, which is the Saitek, Rhino. And the reviews for this were a lot less positive. There were issues some people had experienced where the joystick merges in with its base. There's sort of like a sleeve there, and sometimes you have to kind of apply some kind of like model airplane lubricant or something like that to keep that sleeve lubricated. Otherwise, and I know as I'm saying it, it sounds hilarious, but Otherwise, it tends to grip the shaft of the joystick. So, it kind of gets hung up on it. So it can kind of interfere with your control. And people say, oh, it's no big deal. You just got to keep, lubing your shaft. And so I was, that was kind of one thing. And other people had posted some reviews where they had said, it feels flimsy in your hands. And sometimes to get at the top missile switch, you kind of got to curve your thumb over the hat switches that are in between you and the missile. Or typically what would be the fire missiles button. And so I kind of went, yeah, that is, those are kind of standout issues to me. But it did have a twist function, so you could control, yaw with that. And so I just kind of went, okay, so that's definitely something I want to keep my eyes on. I don't really care so much whether it's made of plastic or made of metal. I mean, I know some people like, oh, it's made of metal, that, therefore it's the cat's ass. I don't really care. I mean, for me, I don't care if it's made of plastic or made of metal. As long as it works, then that's fine. But there was just so many people who just were hating on Saitek, and I was just, when that many people are kind of posting negative and some people very angry reviews of the X55, I just kind of went, I gotta wait and see a little bit. I gotta think about this a little bit more. So once again, I went out looking for more information, which of course brought me to the X52, also from Saitek. And this joystick, oddly enough, has been, as far as I found, more positively reviewed than the X55 in many instances. Now, of course, its throttle is less complicated than the X55, less buttons and knobs and switches and whatnot. And one of the things that in many of the X55 reviews that had been posted on the internet is people loved the throttle, but when they loved the throttle and they thought the throttle was great, but the joystick, they just hated the joystick, for various reasons, be it the hat switches or the plasticky feel or the fact that it used springs as tension, as kind of tensioners, and they felt that wasn't really the best, solution. The X52 in a lot of ways also looked very, very good in certain respects, and a lot of people had reviewed it, positively, being that it was kind of at the bottom end. But the problem was, oh, by the way, the X55 retails for about $200 Canadian right now, the prices that I've seen online. And oddly enough, the X52 is coming in right at the exact same price, but seemingly with less features on it. And it seems like a less complicated model, but for the same amount of money. Now, I'm not sure if it's just like old pricing from online retailers, but I was like, why are you charging the same for seemingly less? And it uses the same spring system that some people have outlined with, the X55, and saying that it wasn't the best and that these joysticks weren't the most accurate. And so, I was very strongly leaning to either the X55 or the X52, but I really just hadn't made up my mind yet. And so I was debating and debating and debating. And, I had almost kind of laid out the cash for, one or the other on a couple of occasions, but then I'd always kind of pulled back, and a few timely Star Citizen ship sales had also kind of, put that cash in a different direction. But once again, I'm kind of coming up to the point where I have to, I felt that I had to make a decision. But then something happened about a month and a half ago. My old joystick, my Logitech Extreme 3D Pro, broke. Like, it had gotten to the point where it wasn't fully broken, but it had deteriorated to the point where I needed to modify the dead zone to a very wide parameter to kind of avoid my ship flying like it was having some kind of seizure. And the fact that the dead zone management tools had then been removed from Star Citizen meant that the joystick was just completely useless. I mean, I would have been pulled over by the space police for drunk driving or suspicion of drunk driving as soon as I left the space station, and I wouldn't have been able to go anywhere in the Star Citizen universe, much less be able to shoot, target, or fight. But as that had happened, I had also picked up this mouse right here, which is a Naga Razor for general MMO playing, which I also complemented with my Logitech G13, which you also see up here on the screen. And I started, I built up a profile for Star Citizen using both the G13 and the Razer Naga. And as I was using them, I mean, at first it was very kind of awkward, because I had never been a person who used the mouse. But then all of a sudden I was, and I was kind of like, I was forced to do it. If I was going to play Arena Commander, I needed to use the mouse. I needed to teach myself to use the mouse. And the more and more I played the mouse, I realized how much more quickly I picked up being able to fire my weapons accurately, being able to fly my ship well. And as I learned to manage the different functions and place them on different keys, and I had all these buttons at my thumb tip on my mouse and at my fingertips on my G13, including the little mini joystick on the G13 that I was using to manage my strafe functions, it quickly became apparent just like how huge the disparity is between joystick and mouse and keyboard. So, kind of given all these things, and just given the absolute ease of use that came with the transferring things over to the G13. The G13, by the way, I mean, if you play an MMO, the G13 is absolute gold. I mean, it is literally the device that will break you from the bad habit of being a clicker in an MMO, and it will just, it's from my opinion, it's absolutely day and night. I mean, it was a subscriber on this channel a long time ago who kind of said, no, you've got to try this thing, and I went out and I bought it, and it was absolutely true. I believe I believe it was back in 2008. The subscriber was Falcon, and who's actually like in IRL, a friend of mine, and he had recommended it, and it was absolutely true. And I've found so many applications for this device across so many games that I was just like, this is absolutely it. And once again in Star Citizen, it immediately made itself useful, and immediately made itself just an amazing complement to the game. And so I just kind of said, you know what, yep, this is it. This is the way things are going to go in the future. And given like the fact that I was able to pick up the mouse so quickly and so easily, and not just using the Super Hornet, but even when I still had the glaive, using the glaive, which has fixed weapons, and being able to just kind of quickly just zoom in and zoom out and just accurately just drop shots on somebody while controlling my ship with the mouse, even without gimbaled weapons. I mean, it was absolutely, it was just absolutely day and night between that and using a joystick. And I just really, given how much the game transformed so quickly, playing it with a mouse and with a keyboard, I just could no longer justify spending $200 or $600 on a joystick anymore, because the disparity. I mean, even if, like, let's go and look at the high end. Even if the Thrustmaster Warlock is super accurate, you're still gonna have to get your muscle memory down. You're still gonna have to teach yourself that. Whereas with the mouse, I mean, it's just right there. I mean, you start right there. Whereas with the joystick, it would take a lot of time to get used to it, to kind of tweak it and all that. Whereas with the mouse, it's there. It's just like, here I am, good to go. Whereas with a joystick, it's practice to maybe get to the level of being able to just, zero right in on somebody with a mouse and just end their life. And so at that point, I just said, you know what? unless I see like a major shift in the balancing between mouse and keyboard and joystick, I'm sticking with a mouse. I mean, it's immersion breaking, which I don't like. I really wanted to play with a joystick, and there was even one point where my my finger was hovering over the over the left click, about to click buy on a Thrustmaster Warthog at one point, and I just kind of said, you know what, I just can't justify it. I just can't do it. I need more information. I need more information. And that's what led to me, obsessively going through all these people's, online reviews of all these joysticks. And in the end, it was the kind of like the breaking or the deterioration of my own cheapy joystick that more or less kind of reinforced my opinion as I was forced to use the mouse. That for right now, given how Star Citizen works, and how little attention has been paid to really bringing parity between the different control schemes, especially with the fact that you're now putting out a Hotas, and I mean, you're not marketing it that way, but it's still, it's like, hey everybody, here's the Star Citizen Hotas, $150, $200, whatever it's going to be. And it's really right now the second best interface in the game to control your ships. At best, it's going to be the second best interface in the game to control your ships. And what's the best interface? A $75 mouse. It just it's one of those things that I couldn't justify. I couldn't justify at all, and I just kind of sat back and I said, you know what? Especially if I see the trackballs on this thing, then I know that they really are they are thinking in the wrong direction, and I'm just gonna have to say, hard pass. Sorry. I know that people have obviously put a lot of work into this, but I think maybe that work would have been better spent on balancing within the game client itself, rather than designing a peripheral that really isn't supported by the game it's created for. Anyways, that's my opinion on the matter, guys. Take from that what you will. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.